the presentations really resonated with you. So, so stick around and be sure to vote. So, John Pollard is with SonicFoundry, and I think he's got a little bit different approach to this, and we're excited to see it. John is not yet the CEO of SonicFoundry, but he has aspirations for that. But he's more on the technology side and is truly a subject matter expert in this area. So I'm going to turn it over to you, John.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Just let me get my deck going here. So I am with SonicFoundry, and SonicFoundry is a company that has a webcasting platform, and we focus, like Mike mentioned, on capturing the content. So that's where we're a little different, is we focus on content capture. We take the video and the supporting materials, synchronize it, and stream it over the internet. Now, for this scenario here that you have on the tables here, we're asked to give a recommendation on how they should proceed, basically, without budget. And I thought, if I were to talk to a company or an organization that came to me with that scenario, I might tell them a story, something like this. And the story would have a couple of characters. One would be Paul. Paul he's new to the fundraising community. He's not yet a member of this particular organization or association. He is very energetic. He wants to change the world. And he's also, like many in the last couple of years, struggles with travel budget. So he is not likely to be able to attend any conferences this year. Now Stacy, on the other hand, is the event organizer for the IFPA. And she's been challenged with adding streaming without having any budget to do it. She's a little concerned about cannibalization, although she's willing to talk about it. And in her conversations with vendors like SonicFoundry, maybe Mike, and others, she's learned that, yeah, cannibalization really is not an issue for most of these types of events. So she's willing to consider a hybrid event. Hybrid meaning I have the in-place mixed and matched with content that's delivered online for those that cannot attend. So she decides, hey, I'm going to test the waters a little bit. And she decides, in this case, in this scenario, hey, it's my talk. She decides that she's going to use SonicFoundry. So what does SonicFoundry recommend? The first conference is actually happening this month, and January of 2011, and she decides, well, you know, this is new to me, so I'm just going to take it easy. So I'm going to capture, this is a 2.5-day event, right? So she says, well, let's not get crazy. I'm going to capture the first day, one room, everything happening in that room. I'm going to do the keynote live, and then I'm going to host that on demand for 1 year, making that available. And I'm going to make that available to anyone and everyone for free, as long as they just give some basic contact information. So, like I said, she chose SonicFoundry. Why did she choose SonicFoundry? She liked the fact that these guys come in with their little technology. They sit down next to the AV folks, take the feeds, they synchronize it, they're not in anybody's way. They provide a nice little display of the content there on the end user's side of things. Video, VGA, great experience, gets the content. And just like Mike said, content is really the place you want to start, giving people that cannot attend a chance to get access to that content. The other thing that Stacy liked about SonicFoundry is that the presenters didn't need to do anything. Basically, they didn't have to give their PowerPoints in advance. They didn't have to install anything on their laptops. They could, in effect, just walk in and present, much like I did today. And finally, she likes the fact that they could just put that all together into a automatically generated catalog that would be available almost immediately. So if we're doing this event today, if I wanted to, some of those sessions could be available today at the end of the day. So she digs that, she does it, because, well, it's a pretty good deal. As Mike said, content capture is a part of this, and that's what we do. For this type of an event, that would be about $7,500. And you might say, well, John, Stacy doesn't have any budget, so what is she going to do? Well, her friends at SonicFoundry say, well, why don't you just talk to some of your sponsors, because they're very willing, and in our experience, they're very willing to work with organizations like the IFPA to you know, if you give them a little space brand on the player, so that means everybody who views this content is going to see, now this isn't branded right now except for the ifba.org, but you could give that banner space to your sponsors. Sponsors are happy to pay $7,500 for views. So she does that. Now Paul attends, he's, you know, like I said, he's new, he's not a part of the association, but he finds out that it's going on. He views the content online, views the keynotes, he thinks, hey, this is pretty cool stuff. He likes the quality of the graphics, likes the fact that he can see what's going on. He's got some opportunities to play around in the interface. He says, this is cool. He's lurking on Twitter and he sees that the event is really got a lot of cool things going on. He's energized by what's happening and he says, you know, hey boss, this is his boss, Paul's boss, you got to check this out. This is really cool. So his boss checks out the content, and Paul then has a case to get funding to become a part of the association. So now we have a new member of the association. Stacy is thrilled with the results. People are happy. There's a lot of buzz in the social world. And so Stacy says, well, I've got another event coming up in July. This one's focused on philanthropy. She says, you know, that first event was really cool, but, you know, I'm kind of conservative. I'm not going to just go whole hog right away. So she says, I think for this second event, I'm just going to do the same thing. I'm going to capture one room, one day. I'm going to do the first session live, stream that live, and then make everything available on demand for a year for free. Again, no problem getting sponsors because she had no problem the first time around. Not an issue at all for this kind of money. Again, we're talking about $7,500. So she does that. Now our friend Paul, the energetic fundraiser, says, you know, he's attending this, watching this. He's just, you know, amped to be a part of this organization. He's thrilled. He says, like this tweet here, you know, I'm going to be attending this event next year in person. And I think, you know, Mike even spoke to that fact that a lot of the people that attend something online end up coming in person. I'll speak to that a little later. Stacy, again, very happy with the results. It's not costing her anything. She is, in fact, she's seeing a little bit of a bump in attendance at even this second show. So she says, for the next event, this is a year after, so now we're talking 2012, okay? Just work with me here. It's a little story, okay? 2012, she says, I am going to put it into high gear. I am going to take the plunge. I am going to do 5 rooms. I'm going to do 5 sessions per room every day. I'm going to make the keynotes live and available to the world. So I'm going to capture a total of 50 presentations. And I'm going to make those all available on demand for 1 year. And that'll cost her about $30K. And you might say, well, John, how is she going to do that? Well, first of all, she did have a chance to budget by now. However, enter our sponsors again. Remember, now that we're tracking 50 presentations, what we can do is we can have different tracks sponsored by different folks. For example, if CVent wants to sponsor one track and Advancing Philanthropy wants to sponsor another track, no problem. Just different players with a different banner, not an issue at all. So she finds that she can actually find plenty of sponsorship to cover her cost, but then because, of course, you're always interested in raising revenue, she says, I'm going to make, because I'm capturing the whole conference now, everything is being captured, and I'm going to make those breakout sessions available to people at about 2/3 of the cost of the regular on-site attendance. So if you were paying, and I think the math that I did said for one of these, you might have been paying $365 for the on-site attendance. And so take 2/3 of that, that's what she's going to charge for this event. So that money is basically all additional revenue. This year she decides she's going to add a Twitter feed to the player, much I think, you know, Mike talked about some of this, adding some, just making it easier to interact and see what's going on. She also tries something new. Her friends at SonicFoundry often put on these little webinars and helpful tools. She says, I'm going to use the content from last year that I captured, and I'm going to use that as a way to market to my organization and to those not yet a part of my organization to help them stay involved with my association and find ways and reasons to come next year. So she does that. Our friend Paul says, I'm in. So he comes, but not only did he come, but also did 30 to 40% of the people that attended last year online. So now, not only do we have our membership happy because they got the streaming they wanted in the first place, but my attendance is also increasing. So what does the future hold for our friend Stacy then after that? Well, now we're talking still middle of 2012, right? Well, she says maybe I'll explore some of these other virtual technologies. As I said, we're about content capture. That's what we do, and we do that very well. The nice thing about SonicFoundry is that we can put our content into these virtual categories like Mike or others here at this conference. She also considers the fact that, hey, I can take some of that content, put that into a content management system, and maybe do some continuing education, thereby increasing my revenues as well. So, attendance is up. She's got her members happy. Basically, Stacy looks like a rock star. Everybody's after her to learn how to do events, and she's obviously happy. So, if somebody came to me with this scenario and said, how would you meet that challenge, I would say, do what Stacy did, and you'll be a rock star.
Great.